At one time in this great country, those called Native Black Americans owned 19 million acres of land. Now they own 1%. As they say, make that make sense. I'll be back. Hey people, thank you for showing up and appreciate your time and attention. Let's get into this. It's amazing how people like, when it comes to Native Black Americans, I noticed that it's done the most with us, but it's amazing how people like to act like they have a heart for us, act like they understand, act like they're a champion for our causes. But then sooner or later, the true colors come out. I posted a short a couple of hours ago about this woman. She's on TikTok. She has over 200,000 followers. And I saw a couple of her videos, and she, was talking about, it was about Black women and our fight and how we are conditioned to stand on our own. And then she was comparing it to white women, basically saying that they aren't conditioned to stand on their own. So I listened to her video briefly, and I'm at a point where I'm kind of tired of other groups acting like they speak for us, acting like they have empathy, and acting like they so understand our plight and they understand how we feel. I'm tired of it. I don't care if it's a white man, white woman, Asian, Hispanic. I'm so tired of it. You know why? Because it goes nowhere. You say this on social media, and I'm sure some of you guys say it just for clicks and views. But in your real personal life, do you stand on it? Do you stand on what you say about us, pretending like you understand and you have empathy? No, I don't think it's genuine. I don't. I would need to see these people in their personal real life and hear how they speak about us in private. But anyway, I think about it. Well, she did a video. Those of you who didn't see the short, she did a video on TikTok talking about, she was directing it towards Black women, particularly because Black women are the ones who came out earlier this year saying that they're sitting back. They're not protesting and not getting involved. They did their work. They did their time, and they're not doing anything else, which we have every right to say that. If we want to say that for the next 50 years, what you going to do about it? So anyway, we've done enough work within these 5-6 decades to last us for a lifetime. If you weren't smart enough to take notes, that's on you. She kept mentioning how Black Americans are saying they're sitting us out. And, while America is literally on fire, we're saying we're sitting it out. We're not doing anything. And she equated that to being scared or cowards, saying that, you guys don't want to come outside. If you're too scared to come outside, I was like, no. I mean, I know there are some who keep saying, well, we get involved, this is going to happen. If we get involved, the police is going to... It's beyond that. It's beyond just saying, oh, you don't want to go outside because the police are going to get involved. No, it's about us always stepping up to the forefront and being left hanging. And nobody else really fighting as much as or as hard as we're fighting, and then they benefit from it. And once they get what they want, and once they're sedated and feel satisfied, they go back to their respective corners and continue to be anti-black. That's what it's about. You're not going to use us and then go back to what you do best. Be anti-black. And two, they never come with solutions. They never come with offers. They never come with any kind of negotiation. Hey, let's help you Black Americans do this, and then you help us in return. They never do that. Like I said in a video one time, I said even enemies know they have to come with something. If they have a common issue, they know in order to get their enemy to come on their side temporarily and help, they have to offer something in return. These people don't even have the decency to offer that. Hey, get off your child. You can't do anything sitting on your sofa. Other than helping this country, which we've always done, what do we get out of it? What are you going to help us do? Okay, let's get on with this content. I'd like to know when we are called to action. Do you stop and think about the racial terror and land stealing our people were made to endure? Do you think about that when you come on your platforms and say, Black folks, we need you to help us again? No, they don't think about that. It's all about them. Because if they weren't, and I'm going to keep saying it, and other people keep saying it too, if they weren't going through this, if they weren't seeing just how racist this country is and how much this country really never liked you, they would not be asking for your assistance. And then some of them had the nerves to ask for their assistance while their followers are calling you monkeys and everything in between. And don't say nothing to them. Hey, followers, hey, commenters, be respectful. We can't ask these Black folks for help, and then you're in the comments calling them nigresses and cotton pickers and monkeys. You guys are kind of slow. You don't ask for help and then demean them at the same time. I don't see them saying that at all. Okay, let's go on. Black farmers in America have faced significant adversity due to a long history of systemic discrimination, including biased loan denials, lack of access to federal programs, and violence. This has resulted in substantial land loss, economic hardship, and disproportionate number of Black farmers struggling with debt and foreclosures, despite recent settlements for past discrimination and new programs. It is a documented historical fact that Black farmers were murdered and their land was stolen through acts of violence, intimidation, and systemic injustice from 1910 to 1997. Black farmers lost more than 90% of their land, about 16 million acres, through these methods, including discriminatory practices by the U.S. government. A conservative estimate places the value of this loss and land at approximately $326 billion. Today, a large number of farmers are crying today, asking the government to intervene, help them keep from losing their land. Guess what farmers aren't asking for help? Who could possibly be suffering in silence? Let me let you hear the cries for help. Then I'll discuss two of the many numbers of extreme cases of land theft that came with brutal murders. Check this out.
This happened. The tariffs are now hitting American farmers, and they are making TikTok videos left, right, and center complaining about the costs of actually running their farms. You got to watch this.
I called 2 weeks ago to get a quote on these fiberglass steaks because we need some more steaks this year. I got a quote, 83 cents. I called the man this morning. I said, hey, I know these tariffs are crazy and everything going on. I said, what can you do me on those fiberglass steaks now if we needed a load? It's a 3-month ETA from time you place the order. He said, Taylor, you don't want to hear this price that I'm about to give you. I said, well, give it to me anyways. He said, each of those steaks now is going to be $1.74 a piece. I said, well, and I know both that we can't do that, and that's going to be impossible. Just to let you know a little bit of what we're going through out here on our farm and what farmers in general are going through. These tariffs, not the best thing for our country. I voted for Trump.
$1 million to $300,000 worth of revenue.
Just left to right.
Yeah. which is one thing, but it's also lost revenue for the workers that would have been able to pick them had they been here.
Oregon farmer Ian Chandler says about half his usual crew didn't show up this season, leaving him scrambling to backfill dozens of positions.
You're calling them, I assume, individually and saying, what's going on?
Yes. And so
what are they telling you?
Well, in the beginning of the season, it coincided, unfortunately, with a lot of really strong immigration enforcement down in Southern California, where our workforce comes from. That kind of had a chilling effect on people wanting to move.
While Ian says his workers are hired with what seemed to be a valid ID and work papers, fear of ICE raids kept many of them from traveling north this year.
I'm seeing all these videos right now where all these farmers are crying about not getting no help right now. You know what? Let me ask you something. When have you ever heard of a black farmer crying about it? Never. And you want to know why? Because they ain't never got no help in the first place. That's right. USDA is literally admitted to discriminating against black farmers. And literally black farmers have to sue thousands of them to get what white farmers are handed for free. And fast forward to today, all these farmers crying that they can't get no help. You see, black farmers, they've been struggling. Y'all just now feeling what they've been feeling for over 100 years. Black farmers, they used to own over 19 million acres of land. But guess what? Systematic racism, denied loans, shady politicians, and legal loopholes wiped them all out. And now they're 1% of America's farmland. When the government finally tried to pass relief for the black folk back in 2021, white farmers sued to block it, claimed it was reverse discrimination. Make that make sense. So, next time you see folks complaining about farm aid, to ask them, where's the help for the black farmers? Ask them why their struggle was just now important when others have been suffering for centuries.
75% of farm workers in California alone.
Now this country and world has seen what Black Americans or Native Black Americans have gone through in this country. What they're seeing white farmers cry about has always taken place with black farmers. And like the woman said in the clip that I did a short on, calling, saying black people are scared, and I said she called them cowards. It's like, do you not realize what we had to endure in this country and still become successful? Cowards don't do that. Cowards run in a corner and hide and ask for everybody else to help. Let's continue. According to the Department of Agriculture census, there were around 45,000 black farmers in the U.S. in 2017, compared to nearly 1 million black farmers in 2010. Even though most farmers today are white, 3.2 million or 95% of farmers, compared to black farms tend to be smaller and generate less income compared to white farms. Let's get into the two horrific incidents, things that black farmers routinely had to deal with in the past and probably today. No. Remember a couple of years ago, it was a black farmer and his wife. They bought like 1,000 acres of, if I can find a clip, I'm going to insert it. But they bought about 1,000 acres of land, and they were being systemically harassed and terrorized. Yeah, I'm gonna find the short I did, and I'm insert it. Hey fam, please pass the word around. There's a family by the name of Nicole and Courtney Mallory. They live in Colorado, and they have 1,000 acres of land, and they're being harassed and terrorized by white racists. They're trying to steal their land. He claims, or he believes, that the sheriff is involved in the harassment, and they arrested him. So I called the Colorado police station about 5 minutes ago, and an officer by the name of Simpson said he was released 45 minutes ago. So we need to join together, contact the NAACP in Colorado, let them know that he is their support. He has support, and we got his back. Thank you, guys. Good night. On March 26, 1944, a group of white men brutally lynched the Reverend Isaac Simmons, a black minister and farmer, so that they could steal his land in Amite County, Mississippi. Members of his family, some of who witnessed the murder, fled the state, fearing for their lives. The white men responsible for lynching him successfully stole Simmons' land and were never convicted of their crimes. Say about lacking accountability. Before his death, the Reverend Simmons controlled more than 270 acres of debt-free Amite County land that his family had owned since 1887. This is very unusual among black families in the South, where racism and poverty have posed obstacles to economic advancement for generations. The Rev. Simmons worked the land with his children and grandchildren, producing crops and selling the property's lumber. In 1941, a rumor spread that there was oil in Southwest Mississippi. A group of white men decided they wanted the Simmons land and warned the Reverend Simmons to stop cutting lumber. You see that? The Reverend Simmons consulted a lawyer to work out the dispute and ensure his children would be the sole heirs of his property. On Sunday, March 26, 1944, a group of white men arrived at the home of the Reverend Simmons' eldest son, Eldridge, and told him to show them the property line. He agreed to do so, but while Eldridge Simmons rode with the men in their vehicle, they began to beat him and shouted that the Simmons family thought they were smart nigresses for consulting a lawyer. The men then dragged the Reverend Simmons from his home about a mile away and began beating him too. They drove both Simmons' men further into the property and ordered the Reverend Simmons out of the car. Then they unalived him, brutally shooting him 3 times and cutting out his tongue. The men let Eldridge Simmons go, but told him he and his relatives had 10 days to abandon the family property. The white men who committed the lynching took possession of the land. The constable and sheriff concluded immediately that the Reverend Simmons had met his death at the hands of parties unknown, even though his son Eldridge and his daughter Laura were present and able to identify by name at least 4 of the 6 men responsible. The family fled Amite County over the next 2 days, fearing for their lives, before their father's funeral on March the 29th. Eldridge remained in Amite for his father's funeral, but was taken into police custody the next day, supposedly for his own protection. Held in jail for more than a week despite being the victim, Eldridge was released from jail on April the 8th and was urged to leave the county altogether. Only one of the 6 white men responsible was ever prosecuted for the Reverend Simmons lynching. On November the 1st, 1944, more than 7 months after their father was lynched, Eldridge and his sister Laura were arrested in New Orleans, Louisiana, on charges that they had fled the state in order to avoid testifying as witnesses in the trial of the only white man prosecuted for murdering their father. During the trial on November 11th, 1944, Eldridge and Laura refused to name the perpetrators in the testimony because they feared for their lives in the event of a conviction. The only white man was ultimately acquitted by an all-white jury because of a lack of evidence. Now, my question is, what makes a white man think he has a right to a black man's land and not fear repercussions? but they keep saying there's no systemic racism. To the next fate of a wealthy Black American farmer. Anthony Crawford, father, husband, wealthy landowner, farmer. Doria Johnson, great-great-granddaughter of Anthony Crawford, recounts his lynching and the effect it had on the lives of his descendants. My great-great-grandfather, Anthony P. Crawford, was born in January 1865 and owned by Ben and Rebecca Crawford in Abbeville, South Carolina. He walked 14 miles round trip to and from school each day and proved to be quite a scholar. When Anthony finished school, he was a laborer for Ben Crawford until Thomas Crawford, Anthony's father, died in 1893 and deeded some land to Anthony, who was the only one of 9 siblings able to sign his own name. Anthony Crawford was lynched in 1916 in Abbeville, South Carolina, by a crowd estimated to be between 200 and 400 bloodthirsty white people. Why did it always have to be so many damn people to lynch one person? Let's go on. His crime, you might ask? Cursing a white man for offering him a low price for the cotton seed he was trying to sell and being too rich of a Negro. His ordeal lasted all day. His body was beaten and dragged through town to show other Negroes what would happen to them if they got insolent. Finally, he was taken to the county fairgrounds and strung up to a tree and riddled with bullets. Although we have heard his body was thrown on someone's lawn, we have yet to locate his grave. The family was ordered to vacate their land and wind up business and get out of town. They did just that. My great-great-grandfather stated early in life, the day a white man hits me is the day I die, and he did. But he left an example of hard work and determination. He still lives in all of us. Many of us still attend AME churches, and we have been told that we have that arrogant Crawford way, but we know that those murderers were not successful in breaking up the Crawfords. We still stand today and proud and close and live our lives as he would have wanted us to. We will not stop looking for each other until the last Crawford is accounted for and we can stand on his land and look toward heaven and pray that he knows we are together again. That's why that arrogant little harmony needs to be canceled. There's countless of stories of Black men and their family, Black men being unalived and their land stolen and their families ran out of town and no repercussions. The people, the perpetrators, the usual suspects involved never face repercussions. And 90% of the land that's owned by white people, majority of it, I guarantee you, majority of it is stolen. So that's why when they're on these videos on TikTok and what have you, crying about what's happening to them, that's why you see FBA's Native Black Americans looking like, what are you crying about? You did this to our ancestors. You stole their land. You beat them, killed them, unalived them, chased them out of town, stole their land. So what did you expect from us? All right, folks, that's all I have for you right now in this video. I will be working on a couple of more videos I would like to try to upload this weekend. Other than that, thanks again for your time and attention. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you for telling folks about this channel if you're interested in Black American Native history that you have never heard before, I haven't heard before, or what have you. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.